All right. Well, Prakash Diwan joins us as well. Prakash, what do you make of this deal? If I'm not mistaken, I think we would have spoken about this a few years ago. I recall meeting the management, Precol management in particular, a few years ago at one of the conferences. And there was this buzz for years, actually. Both these two
Yeah.
stocks, for the time being, they're under some pressure. How would you approach them? For the time being, the street doesn't like it. Both of them are 10% down from the day's high. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Nigel. So you're right. I remember talking about Recall when it was just about 1,000 crores market cap, and the anticipation was, from that level of 50, 60 rupees, it would kind of continue doing well. And there was this huge anticipation built around the company of it transiting from analog metering devices to digital. Because that's the way forward, and that's exactly what's panned out. But what I think the street is probably confused with is why would Minda want to buy into Precol's equity just as a financial investment? I mean, are the return ratios so lucrative, so interesting? And the answer to that is obviously not. Especially when you invest such a huge amount of money into another business that's almost like parallel to yours, or one of your businesses has an overlap. So I think it's at some point in time, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the larger institutional investors behave within the Precol shareholding setup. Because unfortunately, the Precol management doesn't seem to be in the mood to relent, but then they just have 36, 37%. I don't know what is the number exactly, but yeah, whereabouts of that, which is not something which is very tenable if somebody were to sell their stake and an open offer needs to get triggered. So logically, I think that's what's going to happen. Precol has very good relationships, very deep relationships with OEMs that Minda could benefit, and there could always be an opportunity because it has a wider portfolio. So end of the day, it might end up being better, but the nature of the takeover or the process is probably a bit hostile than what you would have thought if both of them came together and sat on the table. And hopefully they will, when they see synergies emerging. So yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, and Nimesh has broken a very interesting story that it's a developing story as we call it, because there'll be lots of developments which will be worth tracking. But the market will probably start getting sanguine about at least the idea of Minda putting money into a good profitable business eventually, which will turn profitable because of the synergy. So I think that should correct at some point in time.
I wonder, because we had them, and I was listening again to the management commentary, right? They sounded a little angry, right? I mean, they said that there are competitors, we've taken market share from them.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether things would have turned out differently if they'd asked nicely. I mean, the Minda, because they do.
Many times in life that is the case, right? Things turn out differently if you ask nicely.
He did seem surprised. He said, had no communication till last night. Of course, I mean, one doesn't know if some approach was made, or we don't know if the complete information has been revealed. But he did sound genuinely very surprised and a little not happy
Quite
about
miffed,
the way this
actually
has been done. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Take that point completely, Prashant. By the way, also, the bulls will be very unhappy looking at the screen. We are at session lows. There's absolutely no let up in the selling pressure. Nifty is below the 17,000. Yeah, pretty much at the day's low now. That's where we are at. So whatever feeble attempt of some mild recovery, it's all getting sold into. It is that sort of a market. Prakash, just very quickly, we were discussing Eicher the other day after the numbers came out. I mean, I'm also seeing a lot of pressure on M&M as we speak. It's down 2.5%. Any thoughts on this? And just a word on the overall mood today. It's a very decisive down move with no attempt at any kind of a fight back, recovery, pullback. We haven't seen that at all today.
So, Shami, good afternoon. So, very obviously, as I said last time, after all those triggers, we've exhausted all those key triggers to the market. You just actually are now looking at overseas markets and the cues therefrom. I mean, the dollar index today, for example, has played spoilsport. The rest of the Asian markets opened with a red screen, and we've kind of followed suit. I mean, there was not much of any kind of a reversal in trend from that mood perspective. But, autos, particularly when you mention names like Ashok Leyland or Maruti, or for that matter, Eicher and M&M more relevantly in recent times, what's going to happen is there's going to be a change of ownership or new hands coming into these counters who believe that from here on you'll probably be able to do a 15-20% kind of a CAGR for the next few years and not just rely on the history. I mean, M&M has moved from 600-700 about what last year. I remember we discussed this, and it's already kind of more than doubled. And you would now have to wait for new triggers for whether it's launches, whether it's improved market share, or improvement in margins coming back. So all those things are now going to be awaited. So nobody's in a hurry to commit. Whenever I talk to clients today, everybody keeps on talking about saying, okay, let's wait. I mean, it's a great story that you have, but let's wait and look at it for some time and then start buying. Nobody wants to write checks immediately. So that's the mood of the market. Not much of volumes happening. Which is also understandable because there are no triggers. But I think personally, if you ask me, this is where the smart money is going to keep on accumulating value stocks. There's lots that's available on capital goods. There's lots that's available in the BFSI space, the IT space. So all of that will continue to happen. And after some time, you'll probably see a bit of momentum. What triggers it? I don't know. We don't know yet. But I think it's time to look at a little bit of value picking at this point in time in the markets.
And the mood of the market is punish the banks. The banks have been underperforming. Today, the Nifty Bank is